What if I told you Massa has better chances of winning any competition over Grenady, Riolo or Scrappy? So recently I stumbled across this clip by Lucker's Turbo.
Has more speed, who's gonna make it? It's so close, it's 1,000 of a second! No way! No.
Many of you in the comments were confused about how the results can be so close together. Port priority? Lag? They did have the same time because the tick rate of the game is below 100 ticks per second. Shit, that was actually decided by their latency. Wouldn't that just be latency of the server? Imagine him having better ping, he would have easily won. Coming from most other games, it is no surprise why many of you think that way and to be a bit skeptic of this result, but TrackMania and its game engine are different. Most other games use a non-deterministic physics engine, a type of physics simulation that can end up with different results each time, even if the initial conditions are the same. TrackMania's game engine, on the other hand, is completely deterministic. The deterministic behavior is, by the way, also the reason why PF tracks work. If you want to know more about this, check the description. The only relevant tick rate you will find in the game is the one asking for players' inputs. I don't know the exact number, but let's assume TrackMania asks the player's system a standard 60 times per second which inputs are being pressed at the moment. One of those inputs could look like this. We have a boolean for left, right, up and down, and maybe reset for checkpoints. That's all you can do in TrackMania. At the end of a 60-second track, every player will have created a long list of 3,600 input objects. Now you send those inputs to the TrackMania's engine, which is essentially just a big function with the knowledge about the track, the programmed car behavior, and so on. And then with your inputs, it has all it needs to spit out a time. Since the engine is deterministic, as long as the inputs are the same, the outputs will be the exact same. Basically, we just have a single calculation of a deterministic function, and the output can be so incredibly precise that a tie with different inputs is practically impossible. The only thing capping this precision are the variable types they chose. Assuming the output in milliseconds, a float type could calculate your time with 7 decimal points, so to 1/1,000,000th of a millisecond. There are probably a lot of floats in the engine though, so let's drop a few digits to avoid rounding errors. Even if you scrap 3 digits to avoid rounding errors in the engine, we still are at a 1/1,000,000th of a second. Eventually though, the game chooses to round the result to a more practical full millisecond, although it could likely calculate the 10,000s or maybe even more. Of course, the game doesn't calculate this only at the end of the track, it still has to draw your current position to your screen. Every draw cycle, the engine calculates your position and puts your car to that position. On a server, it also has to draw other cars, taking network times into account. It can sometimes look like someone is behind you, although he's actually in front. But everything that is on your screen is just an approximation of the underlying results of the engine's function and doesn't affect the end result at all. As soon as one drives through the finish, all inputs are then known and the result is determined and fully reproducible given the same inputs. Network ping is also irrelevant, you just have to make sure that all inputs of a player are sent and in the correct order, using probably TCP or some faster custom UDP protocol. As soon as all inputs arrived on the server, the deterministic game engine is again 100% predictable and super precise. Also, in shooters, network ping only affects how accurate other people's positions are on your screen, which matters when you try to hit them. The server still holds one ultimate truth for all players. This would only matter in TrackMania if you had to interact with other cars somehow, which you don't. In conclusion, a 1 millisecond lead in TrackMania is more than enough to confidently differentiate between two times. Theoretically, it's almost impossible to tie on a normal track, but what about practically? What happens when two people have the exact same time down to 1 millisecond? The answer to that might surprise you. It surely surprised me. Let's get into it. There are no real ties in the driven times in TrackMania. The game will always choose someone to come out on top. I ran a lot of tests to figure out who comes out on top in these ties. In time attack, the older time will come out on top, which makes a lot of sense. If you tie the world record, your record will be the second one since someone else was able to do this before you. The more interesting cases are the competitions with rounds, cup or knockout mode. Also cup of the day. I gathered a long list of hypotheses floating around to test. First, I wanted to know if the 10,000s maybe matter and are just not shown on screen. Result: no they don't, what you see is what you get. Similar tests about ties were done in TrackMania 2, and there the later joiner would win the first round. Okay, so I found out that in the old game you should be winning. No, I won. Okay, very weird. We disproved that one pretty quickly. But maybe the one who had the faster round previously? I will give the faster time to you. Because in the old game, your previous time was important. For whatever reason. But nope. Nope. Some said the car going faster wins. Pretty hard to test, but many people told me they have disproven this. Maybe the one who got the last checkpoint first? Or the most checkpoints first? You didn't see the checkpoint, does it always say second for me? Yeah, I'm second. Ah!
It's time.
I still won. Huh? Also no. Is it the one who ate the most beans? We are still debating this one. Unfortunately, all of these seem to be wrong and we were left clueless. In our tests, it looked like it was almost always alphabetical, but in some of the competitions, Massa won over Grenady. So what have we missed?
And actually stand a chance against the wheel player, against Granadi here. And now the ending is coming in here. The ending, Granadi again with more speed compared towards Massa. Is he risking out the ending? 700s, 900s of a second. Granadi going so good again. And Granadi might snipe it again. It's a tie and Massa takes it. It's a tie and Massa takes it here. Man, man, man.
We continued to test some more absurd things like creating a server in different clubs. No result. But then Nizor decided to rename himself to ABC_Nizor, and let's have a look what happened.
Everyone will be so confused about my nickname.
Wait, we need to restart.
Still you. I have no idea.
I still won. It wasn't alphabetical anymore. Maybe somehow in the underlying database he was still considered to be Nizor28? That got me thinking. Maybe alphabetical was correct after all, but it takes the initial name you choose when you first install the game. I immediately searched back as far as I could and look what I found. Massa's first name was BIG Massa. And Attacks.Grenady's first name was just Grenady. The new TrackMania actually decides ties alphabetically depending on the first nickname you chose. This holds true in Cup of the Day and in all competitions out there. And this is how BIG Massa will always have a slight advantage against Grenady, Riolo or Scrappy. If you find any opposing evidence, let me know. I am confident to say that all cups with money on the line should rethink how they handle ties now. I'm sorry for the extra hassle. Thank you for watching. Please like this video. See you next time. Goodbye.
Go on, Tim.
Risk.
Go on.
Yes, yes, nice, Massa. Let's go. Let's go.
This team's over for the
Yo, Tim, what a risk, man. Good shit. Let's go. Alright, 2-1. Let's go, boys.
Come on. Damn, dude. Same time. Alright, let's go.